probably be like the weirdest video you'll ever actually watch. But it's like really late and my family is totally wake up if I turn on any lights. Hopefully you can hear me, but I know you can't really see my face. I'm not really sure why I even tried doing it. Anyway, tomorrow, so first off, a little intro about myself. I am 37 years old and I'm a female. Ow, my foot just cramped up. And my foot is cramped up. Anyway, I just had an epiphany like yesterday after I suddenly had a realization that maybe I am like really awkward. And I've always known I'm really awkward, but I realized that maybe my awkwardness is like a thing. So I landed on autism spectrum disorder. I never really actually knew what that was until I Googled it yesterday. And it's actually spot on. And now I'm mixed between finding it really, really hilarious because it's so accurate and also kind of terrifying because now I don't know what I'm doing. I don't really know when I'm masking and when I'm not masking because I have spent the majority of my life trying to be normal and doing all the things that are considered normal, yet still feeling like I don't fit in for some reason. So it's been really tough because my whole life I could never understand why I'm doing all of the things the way everybody else was doing them, but for some reason I was still weird. Like, I just could not understand it. I was so confused. And of course, because I couldn't see that I was just different than anyone. Well, I knew I was different from everyone else, but I just didn't know how I was different from everyone else. Because I studied people and I learned how to be like them, but I still wasn't them. And I spent so many years, especially in high school, it was really, really tough all throughout school because I would watch these popular people, which I usually despised because I thought they had pretty mediocre social skills, really. And coming from a person that has no social skills, or I don't not have social skills, which is my social skills. My social skills are not like everybody else's, but I would get really frustrated because all these popular people were like really stupid or like just like mean or like mean. I guess that's what it was. They were so mean. And I'm like, how can somebody so popular be so mean? Why do people like these people? They're not nice. They're jerks. They think they're just so much better than everybody else, and they're not. And I could not figure out why I could be just like them, I could act just like them, I could look like them, I could make my face look like them, facial expressions, like all of that. I could never understand why I still wasn't popular, even though I was doing all the things. It was very confusing, and I would always kind of find something else that was different about me. So I always thought nobody liked me because I was poor. I thought it was because I grew up in a trailer and my mom was a single mom, and like sometimes when I was younger, maybe I was a dirty kid. Like, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was that kind of thing. And so, like, I've spent my entire life basically thinking that nobody liked me because I was the poor kid. But then I grew up and I realized that all these kids that I thought were so much richer than me actually were probably only making maybe $20,000 more than my mom was a year. So, like, there really wasn't an incredible difference in money. It's just, it looked like we had less money. I don't know. But anyway, it didn't matter because that's not what it was. It was the fact that, like, I could never, so for instance, I was like, I could not, so I'll give you an example. When I was I used to be so I lived on the side of a state highway, and I literally spent my summers, because I had nothing else to do. We didn't have, like, cable TV, or I wasn't close enough to town to go see people or hang out with friends, and I kind of liked hanging out by myself, and my one friend that I was inseparable with for most of my years, adolescence, and in the younger ages anyway. I spent my whole summers just watching the cars go by and guessing what the next color car was going to be. And it was like so much fun. We could do that for so many hours. We would just make up like the dumbest games. And we were like 14 years old, 15 years old, just watching the cars go by. And it was just like the most fun you could ever have because, I don't know, it just was. But anyway, I learned how to identify what kind of car it was too, just by the front of it. And then I got really good at even being able to tell what kind of like headlights they were in the dark, because I used to drink and drive a lot. It's horrible to say. I really shouldn't say that. But yeah, I used to be able to know what cops' headlights looked like. So I spent a lot of time studying cars just because I study things. And so I can remember back to my like original point that I was trying to get to. Anyway, I can remember being on the bus, and there was a car in front of us, and it was like the early 2000s anyways. My friend was like, oh, I love that Camaro. And like, I was like, actually that's not a Camaro, that's a Firebird, because the back end is like bubbled out, whereas the back end of the Camaro was flat. And my friend was like so annoyed with me, like she fought with me over this, and I was like, no, it's not. It's a Firebird. Like, I'm telling you, I know it's a Firebird. Like, I've like studied these things, like I just know. And I could not understand like why she would even A, argue with me, and B, be mad at me afterwards because I refused to accept her. I refused to believe her answer. Like, she was wrong. And, like, she would get mad. And I could not understand why you're mad at me because I was right. Even though she didn't want to believe I was right, I knew I was right. I don't know. I just could never get it. Like, maybe I couldn't understand if there's, like, this invisible hierarchy that I couldn't see, and maybe I'm supposed to be on a certain level, and I'm like, I refuse, like, I can't be in any of those levels. I don't know. But I was always just like ashamed afterwards because I was like, oh my God, I don't understand what I did wrong. Like, you know, I just couldn't understand it. Like, why are they so mad when I thought being honest and telling the truth is like a good human quality? And here I am being honest, straightforward, and you know, honest, straightforward, and not lying, I guess. I don't know, whatever that third one was. I'm doing all these things, yet people are getting mad at me for it. Like, I was just so confused, like, lost, because I just didn't understand how normal people said that they valued these things, yet when I did those things, they would get upset. So it was just like, I don't know what, I could not understand why they didn't like me. It was like, I could not get it. I don't, and now, after reading about especially autism in girls, so many things make so much sense now that it's like terrifying. And so tomorrow I am talking with a doctor that is supposedly a specialist in autism. I don't know. I just did a teledoc thing because going to a doctor's office for some reason feels so silly nowadays. Because, well, it's always seemed silly for me because I usually know what I'm going in there for, and I don't understand why I need to tell another professional to write me a specific script or to order me a certain test so I can get the answers that I already kind of know. Like, I'm not even sure if, like, tomorrow's going to be a good thing or not, because I hate when I absolutely know something and then people question me about things because I'm not prepared for those questions, and I never anticipate questions because I'm like 100% sure about my, what I know. And like when people ask me questions, I find it insulting and it angers me, and I don't know how to answer them because I haven't really prepared for it. So yeah, and then I realize then when the rebuttals come out, I start like second guessing myself because why are they doubting me? Is there something that I'm missing? Why would they doubt me? And then like I get stuck into trying to be normal, so like I'll abandon the argument, and I've learned to do that because normal people have kind of thrown curveballs at me that I know the answers to, but in that moment I can't find the words to push back because I'm so anxious and caught between trying to be normal and trying to answer the question that I know the answer to, but how do I express this answer that would help them understand? Because a lot of times I feel like when I talk, I use really big words and people get confused and they don't know what I'm talking about. So it's like, how do I express myself in the dumbest form possible in hopes that this person will understand? But then they still won't understand and they'll question me, and I just kind of shut down, and then I just back off that because it's like exhausting. And but then I go home and I stew on it, and I think of all the things that I could have said that totally would have probably got that person to shut up. But I think one of the things that I'm learning about the things that I need to unlearn is that I have spent my entire life trying to, I guess somebody put it a very interesting way in one of these shows and blogs or whatever, is that I've spent my whole life like trying to protect somebody that's normal from me because I know that I'm awkward And I don't like that feeling that I get from somebody that doesn't understand me. So I mimic what they do so they can be more comfortable around me. Yet it makes me very uncomfortable, and no, it's just weird. I guess I have to learn when something is a me problem and when something is a you problem. If I want to get better at just saying what I want to say, and if that person doesn't really understand me, then it's their problem, and it's up to them to ask me for clarity. And if I want to give them clarity, I'll try to give them clarity. But really, I feel like normal people don't really ask questions very well anyway. So it's hard for me to help them with whatever it is that they don't understand sometimes. I want to help them because I ultimately want people to understand whatever it is that I'm understanding, because I do believe in communication and togetherness and equality and just kind of trying to get along in life and not have all of these unnecessary social barriers because we have an outdated social structure. And it's weird to me because, like, now that I understand what masking is, I wonder how many of us are there that are out there. And maybe we are actually the normal ones, and those other ones are the abnormal. The ones that we think to be different than us are actually the abnormal ones. The problem is we, as autistic people, can't always, we're all masking all of the time. So I guess we're just so good at it that maybe there's just like, maybe the way that we think is normal and the way that other people think is abnormal. I don't know. I mean, if people like me are basically the ones that have designed the civilization that we see now, then aren't we the ones that are normal then, not abnormal? I don't know. It's just kind of a very perplexing question that it's hard to put into words that make sense. Yeah. Maybe I was never the weird one. Maybe I was just normal or like above normal. I don't know. Is that what abnormal means? I don't know. Is abnormal above normal? I don't know. Anyway, it's like the funniest video because it's like you can't even see me and you know what I look like. Anyway, this will probably be the dumb thing that goes viral that nobody understands. Anyway, wish me luck. Till another time. Bye-bye.